I'm standing on my kitchen chair over a table with a grid and a garment laid out because I'm going to show you how to clone a garment to make a pattern of it and sew another version without taking the garment apart. So the first thing that I have going on is I carefully laid out the garment. I took one leg inside of the other and I kind of rolled it up a little bit here so that I can lay it as flat as possible. We can see that this is the front here, this is the pocket. We can see that the back crotch extends a certain amount and the back crotch also extends up higher than the front crotch here. Now, this is not going to be perfection just from the photograph because we see things are rolled under a little bit and we're kind of puffy, but this is just going to be to get the block, so to speak. And if I want perfection for the exact finished specifications of this garment, I'm going to additionally take flat measurements of the pocket opening, the exact finished width of the waistband, the exact height of the crotch, the total curve of the rise, the thickness of the waistband, the depth of the hem, this bottom part right here that's called the sweep opening. So once I digitize or trace this garment, then I'm going to carefully match the measured specifications that I do with a ruler or a measuring tape and adjust it so that it's perfect. Now, if you don't use a computer, any sort of CAD, CLO3D, Adobe Illustrator, to digitally trace this garment, you would do very similar by either laying this garment on top of a big sheet of paper, tracing around it, using a pinwheel to go into the invisible parts that you can't see underneath, or you can lay a translucent tracing paper on top and then trace around it. Then from there you would either finish out the pattern by hand on paper, and if you're doing digitally, you can do the whole thing on the computer. I'm going to do the digital version for this video. So now you'll see I've done some pieces of paper to represent an outer corner going all around my grid board. You don't need to do that, but I've done it so that I just know right off the bat when I import it that this is 16 inches wide by 25 inches tall around this perimeter. Now, if I do not do that, or you don't do that, that's fine. You can just do the grid, but once you get it to the computer, you're going to have to just manually count your squares so that you know what the finished board is, so to speak, because we will crop it to whole inches so that we can do the digitizing process. Now, what I'm going to do, I have the grid lines turned on my phone, and I will take a photograph as straight on, as level as I can. Now, I will caution that fancy phones or fancy cameras seem to have a fisheye effect. Certain wide-angle lenses on the phone cameras also might have a fisheye bubble effect. So try to use a camera setting that is nice and true. And you'll know you have a bubble effect when you bring your photo into your software, onto the computer, that the squares are not nice and square. They kind of have a boomerang effect towards the outer edges. Now, I am going to take two pictures that, one I'm going to take as straight on as I can, and that's the one that I'll use when I go to the software. I'm going to actually use Photoshop to straighten up my image, and I'm going to use CLO3D to digitize this pattern. So I will start with a nice straight on photo, but I'm also going to purposely do a screwy, twisted, strange angle photo like this so that I can show you how to correct it in Photoshop.